Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special council meeting of Wellington Shire Council on this Tuesday, the 28th of March 2019. And the purpose of this meeting is to receive and consider, when we put it back, submissions relating to the 2019-20 draft budget. So members of the public gallery should note that Council records and publishes Council meetings via YouTube to enhance the accessibility of Council's meetings to the broader Wellington community. These recordings are also archived and may be published on Council's website for viewing by the public or used for publicity or information purposes. And please, could gallery visitors and councillors ensure that all mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting. And if we could stand for the acknowledgement and the prayer. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Gunai people, and pay respects to their elders past and present. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon the Wellington Shire Council, its councillors, officers, staff and their families. We pray for your guidance in our decisions so that the true good of the Wellington Shire Council may result to the benefit of all residents and community groups. Amen. We have no apologies, CEO? No declarations or conflicts of interest? If we move to item C2.1, which is the receipt and consideration of submissions relating to the 2019-20 draft budget. And the purpose of this meeting is now to hear submissions in regard to it. We have in fact received written submissions, and we have people present who would like to speak in support of those submissions. Could I let you know that you don't need to, as you've provided the information to councillors, and we all have that information, you're not at liberty to in fact reread it if that's not your desire, but rather to speak to the salient points of that submission. And once that process is over, this is not a decision-making meeting, but rather one where we hear submissions. So once that part of your attendance is over, you're free to either stay or go, whichever in fact works best for you. So with that in mind, I'm looking to see from the list of people who have indicated they wish to speak in support of the submission that perhaps, and I see that we've got the community from Heyford here to speak in regard to the Skatepark proposal, if we'd like to kick it off with the young people if they're so inclined. We're in your hands.
Sorry, just in relation to the time.
Yeah, we normally allow 3 minutes for each submission. So in fact, if you could look to focus on the key ingredients to your submission, that would be really useful. So perhaps we're in the hands of the community from Heyfield in the first instance. And if you could come to the lectern, state your name and address council.
Dear councillors, my name is Maddie Jennings and I'm one of the school captains at St Michael's Primary School in Heyfield. I'm in Year 6. Thank you for the opportunity you have given us to speak at today's meeting.
My name is Tyler O'Brien. I am also one of the school captains at St Michael's Primary School. I'm also in Year 6. We appreciate being able to have input into what happens within our town, especially with the skate park. We discussed with the students at our school what the issues or concerns were with the skate park. They came up with a lot of major safety concerns.
For example, there is a lot of graffiti and vandalism. Often there is rubbish in and around the bowl. Sometimes people smash glass bottles in the bowl and dump their rubbish in there. It makes it hard to use and could injure someone, and it looks disgraceful. The graffiti is often very rude and offensive and doesn't get removed for a long time or doesn't get removed at all. Visitors to our town would not be impressed by what they see.
There are also problems with the design. The skate park does not suit to all abilities, particularly for beginners as the skill level is too high. There have even been times when parents had to help their children get out of the bowl. The space around the bowl is too small, which doesn't allow skaters to move around the bowl safely. We know of people who have fallen into the bowl because of the lack of space. The design of the skate park is also too small for different groups to be able to use it at the same time. Often when teenagers come to the skate park, the younger children end up leaving because there's not enough space.
The ramps from the bowl also don't have a safety barrier, and children can fall off the edge. We know of a skater who nearly landed on their head because they went off the edge. The seats and tables around the skate park are also too close to the skaters using the skate park. This means they could crash into them and injure themselves. The tables and seats aren't well maintained and have been vandalised. This makes them unsafe for the users. We believe that the skate park is set well off the road and is not visible from the street on either side. It makes it easy for vandals to wreck the skate park, and this is why we think there is so much damage and graffiti.
We've also considered that maintenance is not being done regularly enough on the skate park. There are a lot of cracks and the edges are rough and dangerous. Last year someone came and inspected the skate park and said there are a lot of cracks, but these have not been fixed. These are the ideas we came up with to make the skate park a better and safer place to play. We would like the skate park to be relocated closer to the street to make it more visible. Hopefully this would stop some of the vandalism. We believe more regular maintenance would also make the skate park safer and more appealing to visitors to our town. This would include clearing the trees around the skate park to include the visibility and stop leaves from falling into the bowl.
We would like to see the skate park redesigned so it is able to be used by all ages and abilities, not just those skaters who have good skills. Perhaps if it is too expensive to move it all together, it could be extended so there are shallower bowls and ramps for beginning skaters. We think there are small things that could be improved if skaters from the town were able to have input. Making the paths bigger and wider around the edge would also make the skate park safer. We would also like to see a proper basketball half court built near the skate park, as this would be very popular with those who use the skate park.
Thank you again for letting us have the opportunity to share what we think would improve the skate park in Heyfield.
We hope the council have found our input helpful.
Good job. Thank you very much. Thank you not only for your submission here today, but for the quality and the quantity, and clearly the groundswell of the community in getting behind this. So thank you once again for being here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, councillors. My name is Remy and I'm a school captain at Heyford Primary School.
And my name's Loch. I'm one of the transition leaders from Heyford Primary School.
Our school would like to thank you for taking your time to read our letters.
Especially Malcolm Hull, who went out of his way to make phone calls, emails and more.
Here are some ideas that we have come up with for you to hear.
Our first idea is that we will need the skate park to be bigger, to include all the requirements of a skate park.
The second idea is that we need to add colour. We were thinking maybe the two colours could be green, purple, yellow, etc. But mainly red and blue to acknowledge the two schools who helped out.
Our third idea was lights, so skaters and everyone else who will use the skate park in the dark can see where they're going and what they're doing, and it will prevent injuries.
Our fourth idea is that the park's visibility is hard to see because it's hidden behind multiple trees. We are not saying that the trees should be cut down, we're simply just blaming the location.
Our last idea is the seating. We need to have more seating for parents, guardians and others to have a clear view of their children, friends and more, in case of an accident.
Feel free to contact our school if you have any ideas or need any ideas, because we would love to help again.
Thank you all for reading our letters and listening to our speech. Also a big thanks for stepping our school through the process of designing a new skate park.
Thanks once again. Thank you very much. Moving on, looking for perhaps submission number 13 was from Loch Sport Bowls Club. So Jenny, if we're in your hands for a moment or two, good on you.
I would like to thank the Mayor and councillors for accepting our budget submission. I'd also like to put forward a few points in support of that submission. Since November 2017, the Loch Sport Bowls Club's been fundraising for a new green. The current green is 17 years old and it's very damaged, it's unusable, we can't hold gala days or fun days because it scratches the bowls, and the bowls are very expensive. So we just have barefoot bowls, which is, we use old bowls that have been donated to the club over the years, so it doesn't matter if they're damaged at all. Through our fundraising, we've been able to generate a lot of publicity towards the Bowls Club. We've also increased our membership base. We have been approved for a grant through LVA, and we're asking council if they would help support us to finalise our 1/3 of that LVA grant, with some donation from the council. We've had great community support. The dynamics of Loch Sport have changed. It's growing in population. We get a lot of support from the caravan park, who have over 2,000 odd people through there over the holidays. We have good support from our businesses in Loch Sport, from the residents of Loch Sport, and also we have a lot of support from holiday makers who are organising fundraising things for us as well towards our green. So today I'm here asking if the council would favour our request for a donation towards that grant. Any questions?
No questions. I don't think I can, in fact, fund it one raffle at a time, Jenny, so good luck. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
And just to remind people that once they've finished, if they wish to leave, they feel free to do so.
All right, thank you.
So moving on, according to my list, I've got submission number 19, which is in fact from Loch Sport Business and Tourism Association.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mayor Allen, my voice is a bit croaky. I've been a bit crook, so bear with me. Mayor Allen and leadership team of the Wellington Shire and guests, we have 5 people from the Loch Sport Tourism and Business Association here today.
And for the record, you're Matt Eadie.
I'm just about to do that. My name is Matthew Eadie, current president of the Loch Sport Business and Tourism Association and the owner and operator of Foodworks in Loch Sport. I'm a Gippslander, born in Yarram, schooled in Sale, moved to Maffra, lived in Bairnsdale, Mount Gambier, now based in Traralgon and Loch Sport. I'd like to speak in favour of the Safe Boat Harbour at Loch Sport being incorporated in the boating and facilities plan by the Wellington Shire. Loch Sport, as you know, is a current recreational holiday destination that has some of the most amazing scenic attributes in Gippsland in the Wellington Shire. I'll keep saying the Wellington Shire after most phrases. We look north over Lake Victoria and have the 90-mile beach in our back door. We have a current permanent population of 1,250. The 2016 census put Loch Sport's permanent population at 814. The town is expected to grow to 3,000 by 2024. The Safe Boat Harbour will inject more tourism into Loch Sport, create business opportunities, have a safe place to motor in inclement weather, become an important stop between Paynesville and Sale. I bring your attention to the Only Projects report of 2007, which I've no doubt some of the councillors have read. This Only Projects report that was done in 2007 states all the reasons for and against a safe boat harbour in Loch Sport. And can I just read out a bit of that study for you? The study has concluded that the development of a safe boat harbour marina adjacent to Lake Street commercial area assumes that the town and the commercial centre is further developed at this location. If a marina is developed at any location, it should be linked with the two existing boating areas through a pedestrian and cycle path. The development of a safe harbour and marina in Loch Sport does not appear to be financially feasible at this stage. There would have to be significant public funding invested to establish the infrastructure, including the wave screen, rock groins and basic services. There does not appear to be current demand for dry boat storage in Loch Sport. High quality visitor accommodation should be incorporated where possible into further development of the town and commercial centre. It is considered that other infrastructure issues such as the provision of sewerage, reticulated water and footpaths need to be addressed in order for the town to further develop to a point where a marina would become more feasible and sustainable. These reports have been saying the same thing since 2007. We need a good sound infrastructure and facilities to accommodate what we have for the tourists who may visit. We as Business and Tourism Organisation are keen to support all projects for Loch Sport. Along with the Wellington Shire, I believe it is achievable with a great team effort, which so far has been extremely good. We have a groundswell of support from the community for the Safe Boat Harbour, and we have 1,000 signatures to prove this. People are keen to see the town grow. The Loch Sport Business and Tourism Association has a very strategic direction and two major projects we are focusing on. Water for Loch Sport is the biggest one of all, which we are working on as well, along with the Safe Boat Harbour. Whilst we feel we are a bit overlooked, Alan, we are willing to work hard to achieve our town's goals. The Wellington Shire also has amazing opportunity to set up a meetung on the banks of Lake Victoria. After all, we are closest to Melbourne. We have letters of support from all the businesses in Loch Sport, from Darren Chester, our local MP. In closing, as recent as yesterday, Minister Jaala Pulford announced $45 million pledge to make boating easier, safer and cheaper for all Victorians. If ever Loch Sport was to become the fishing, boating, recreational capital of Gippsland in the Wellington Shire, it is now. We must strike while the iron is hot. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank David, the CEO, and his team for the great work they are doing to get our current projects over the line. I would also like to thank all councillors for their continued support of our great little town getting bigger. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks very much.
5 minutes. Am I allowed to ask a question?
Of course you are, Councillor McCubbin.
Before Matt goes too far,
Microphone.
okay, no worries, I shall do. Sorry, well done, mate. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm a little confused as to what you want from us. So, so there was the feasibility study done in 2007, and you mentioned that before. So you're just wanting us to update that feasibility study, or are you looking for infrastructure development? What are you looking for?
I suppose where we're at the moment is what I've been told is that council are going to put that in the budget is the update of the feasibility study. That's what I'm speaking to at the moment.
Yeah.
But we're looking bigger. We're looking for the Safe Boat Harbour as part of that feasibility study to happen. We know there's funds out there. We just need the council to help us hunt the funds down for the Safe Boat Harbour. We had a meeting with council prior to Christmas, of which some of the team leaders were present. And we basically put it to them that all the reports have been done. Loch Sport's been done to death by reports.
Yeah.
And there's been no action. There's a few things happen, like the boating ramp, and you know, Alan knows all what's been going there. But we need major infrastructure. There's people. The average age down there's 62. We need a new medical centre that's underway. So privately, everyone's having a go, but we need some huge funds to come in to create this Safe Boat Harbour so we can get tourists coming in at our end and out the other end, whereas at the moment they all go to Paynesville, Meetang Lakes and come back. So what's the use of that? Wellington Shire has the biggest opportunity of any council in Victoria on the lake system to create a beautiful little mecca, which is Loch Sport. And a recent example of that is the Loch Sport Fishing Association, which has just started up. They put a mat down to the surf, and we've got, say, 800 or 900 likes about that. They're putting a webcam up on Stockyard Hill. So what we do in Loch Sport is when we get going, we've got a very, very excited community about doing projects. So what we want council to do is get behind us. We'll do the work we're going to do and get the funds to get done what we need to get done.
So you'd be comfortable if we updated the feasibility study from 2007? You're comfortable with that?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for your report.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks again, Matt. Really appreciate it. Good job. Now, moving on, according to my list, and I'm sure there's some that aren't on here, but I've got submission 22, which is request for Ramp Lake Guthridge, Wellington Saleability. Neil Ross. So if you'd like to come forward, Neil, and 3 minutes or thereabouts, and I'll repeat, if you after the end you can leave if you so desire, but it seems this must be gripping today because everyone's staying.
Thank you, Alan, for the invitation today to speak to Council. My name's Neil Ross. I'm the coordinator of Saleability Wellington. For those who don't know, Saleability Wellington has been operating a program on Lake Guthridge for the last 19 years. We teach groups of individuals throughout the Shire the joys of sailing and a strong sense of independent achievement. Clients include Sail Specialist School, George Grey Centre, Cubs and Scouts. As coordinator of Saleability Wellington, Commodore of the Lake Wellington Yacht Club, Jenny O'Neill, informed me that after discussions with some Shire representatives, money may be available in forward estimates for upgrading the jetty on the south side of Lake Guthridge. Jenny had brought this to my attention as volunteers have been having trouble launching our dinghies and rescue rubber duck because of new reed growth and constant variations in water levels, mainly due to the drought. When the water's low, launching dinghies from the jetty is heavy and hazardous work. The design I've drawn up, which you should have a copy of there, and a quote from a particular provider, after I received advice from Tim Rowe as to who to talk to, I believe is a very doable job, and the contractor does too, and I think it's very good value for money. You can see the actual cost of it in the quote there. It includes the use of the latest non-slip materials. The design includes a ramp for easier launching of both dinghies and rescue boat, ensuring greater safety and ease of operation for volunteers. It also expands the area for boat mooring without affecting flora. Other minor maintenance issues are included in the upgrade, which are sorely needed. Saleability Wellington would be most pleased if this project could be brought forward for immediate action for the good of our volunteers, clients and other users of the jetty. We gratefully acknowledge the great support of the Shire and especially Tim Rowe when we first negotiated the building of the jetty some 15 years ago, and which has proved a boon to both our organisation and other users. Thank you.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks very much. Moving on, submission 31 is listed as Boysdale Braylon Football Netball Club.
Good afternoon all. My name's Ryan Evans. I'm here as both a representative of the Boysdale Recreation Reserve Committee and as the president of the Boysdale Braylon Football Netball Club. I've also got with me a couple of footballers today from our club, in Marion and Megan, who join me for today's submission. As many of you would already know, over the past few months the Boysdale Recreation Reserve has been undergoing quite the makeover. The new female-friendly change rooms have now been built and a wonderful addition to the reserve. The rooms are already being used regularly by our men's and our women's football teams, as well as the under-17 and youth girls teams. This year we've also had the Braylon Junior Football Club using the facilities at Boysdale on a regular basis as well, so they're definitely being well utilised at the reserve. Also, the conduit for the new light towers has been laid with the expectation that the poles and the lights will arrive and be erected in the next couple of weeks. And as a club, we actually can't wait for this to happen. At the moment, on Tuesday evenings at one stage during the night, we actually have 5 football teams training on the reserve at the one time, which means it's incredibly crowded, particularly when you've got darker patches in the oval which are unable to be used. So the improved lighting is going to make a massive difference for us out at Boysdale. That work, that's the new change room from the light towers, has been funded by a number of sources. To date, there has been contributions of $300,000 from the Trobe Valley Authority and just shy of $29,000 from the Wellington Shire Council, as well as the $15,000 contributions from both the Football Netball Club and the Boysdale Recreation Reserve. And thanks to the generosity of local businesses and club members, we've also accounted for more than $60,000 of in-kind labour and materials. It's been a fantastic community effort. Our project manager, Ray Adams, has done a fantastic job of keeping the costs down, and the amount of work that has been completed for the dollars spent has been remarkable. I challenge anyone to try and achieve what he has to date with the money he's had to work with. Unfortunately, there has been a hiccup along the way. After the project started, it was found that the original engineering that was supplied for the light poles was not compatible with the soil report. Upon re-engineering, there was a further $20,000 added in costs, largely due to the amount of concrete required increasing from about 14 metres to 60 metres, as well as the addition of the reinforced cages. The Rec Reserve still has another payment of $29,000 coming from the LVA, which will cover these costs. However, the increased cost of putting the light towers up means that we are now no longer in the position to fund the upgrade of the power supply to the reserve, which badly needs to be completed as well. As a result, we're here today seeking additional funding from the Wellington Shire to have this work completed. As I mentioned when standing up here last year, some of you may remember, the Rec Reserve and the club have received very little funding from the Shire in the past, with all prior building works, including the new netball rooms and the visitor change rooms, all being self-funded by the club. Comparative to clubs such as Stratford Football Netball Club, who we compete against, and our rivals in the Gippsland Football Netball League, they've received funding from the Shire for a range of projects. In recent years, that's included the relocation of the netball courts, the renovation of the social rooms, the addition of electronic scoreboard, and as recently announced, they've received funding for the new female-friendly change rooms, which we think is a fantastic thing as well. But we just wanted to point out that there are some differences in the funding to the reserves. The reason for this disparity in funding is because the Boysdale Rec Reserve was categorised as a Level 3 significant local facility during the redevelopment of the master plan, whilst almost all other football netball grounds in the Shire were classed as Level 2 district facilities. The ramifications of this has meant that the reserve has continually been overlooked when it comes to funding, while similar reserves at Heyford and Yarram and Sale, for instance, have continually received financial support. So you can imagine how overjoyed we were to receive the $300,000 grant from the LVA and the $29,000 contribution for the Shire to have the aforementioned works completed. So despite the perennial underdog status we have attracted, we are a very proud club. Our men's football teams both sit on the top of the ladder undefeated after 7 rounds, and our women's team is also starting similar fashion to how they finished last year. Premiers and champions, they finished undefeated, and again, they remain on top of the ladder. It's not just about winning that counts though. We try to be a welcoming, inclusive and friendly family club that caters for everyone regardless of age, gender or ability. If you include our netball sides, we now have over 135 individuals participating in the red and black uniforms each weekend. That's more than any senior football netball club in the Wellington Shire. This is largely helped by the fact that we have the only women's football team in the Wellington Shire. All up, we have almost 200 active members and another 70-odd social members. And this year, you can also add the junior club's numbers as well, as they continue to use the Rec Reserve throughout the year. So in closing, I'd just like to reiterate how much this project means to our club and to our local community. No longer do we have to be embarrassed by the poor state of our facilities or the terrible lighting. If the Wellington Shire could provide any additional funding assistance, ideally the full $20,000, to finish the project and upgrade the power supply, it would be very much appreciated. In return, we will actively promote the assistance provided by the Shire within our club and throughout the wider Gippsland community. And we also welcome visits from our councillors at any time throughout the season to help them not only see the new facilities, which we're very happy to show off, but also to understand the energy and the positivity that our club and our community embodies. So we thank you for listening to our submission today. I have just got something to hand out as well. If anyone would like to actually see some photos of the club in action, I've got some photos of some of the renovations that have already been completed, some of our players in action too. So thank you again for today.
Thank you very much. It's probably inappropriate for me to say go Bombers, but go Bombers.
Sounds great. Pass it on to you.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Thanks, Councillor Hole. I was aware that it wasn't on my list, but we have also Gordon Street Reserve here to also wish to speak to their submission as well.
Mayor, councillors, I'm Brian Brown, President of Heyford Gordon Street Recreation Reserve. We put in a letter for a submission to see if the Shire could help us out with the mower, because our budget is not big enough to supply the mower. We look after any sporting group that comes to us. We look after the schools. We have most of the schools there playing sport. And in the summer we find we're mowing the grass twice a week, and that's about 40 hours a week we spend mowing on the Gordon Street, which is a big area. So our mower is now turned 6 years old and getting pretty old, and we went to trade in and they offered us sweet bugger all, so we thought we'd write a letter to you guys and see if you could help us out. The cost of the new mower is just over 40,000. It's an 8-foot cut mower, so it'll make our mowing time down. That's about it. If there's any questions anybody wants to ask, quite happy to answer.
Looks like we're all good.
Say, Joe.
My name's Charlie Reginski. I'm Brownie's moral support and the treasurer of the Gordon Street. I just like the amount of work that Brian puts in at that reserve with the mowers and all that, and his volunteers. It's just terrific. The grass doesn't grow very much over there. It gets mowed pretty quick, and as you said, we'll cut down the volunteers' time to do the. We just can't fund it out of our maintenance budget. And if you have a look at our report, we do have a mowing account that Brownie started up, as he actually goes over and mows the Newry Rec Reserve and carts it over there on the Vern Graham trailer, and the money that comes from Newry we put into the mowing fund. I told him we just can't have it, Brownie, but he's dead set wants this new mower, so we're over here just Malcolm will get the hanky out now and just put our case forward for the money for the new mower. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good on you. Councillor Bly?
Just one thing that was mentioned by one of you guys to me recently. Your view is that you've got some rough areas around the reserve. You'd like to retain the mower rather than tray it in properly to actually do the rough areas so you can keep a pristine mower for the proper surface. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
You can just explain that, Charlie.
When the new, all the new netball courts and all that, we dumped all the dirt over the back of the banks at both the old oval and the new oval, and at the moment, it's with the drought, there's probably more stones than there is grass. And if you get over there with the mower, we reckon blades, it's costing us a bit of money to replace the blades on the mower and all that. So the maintenance on the mower sort of comes up, whereas if we just had a rough mower and we didn't worry about, I think most of you know if you mow your grass at home with the new mowers, if you get a bit of an edge on your thing, it leaves a line on your lawn, and we don't want that on the football ground, so Brownie can have the pristine mower for the footy ground and a rough mower, because there is quite a rough area. There's the old ground, the new ground, the banks, over the back of the engine mob are, up the front on the Vern Scott, up near the kindergarten, out the front. They mow everywhere. So yeah, that's our story.
Good on you. Thank you very much. Do we have anyone else left now who wishes to speak to any of their submissions or to the budget generally? If not, and Alex, I did, but we didn't have you listed to speak, but I was just extending an invitation to anyone who wanted to, so that includes you, Alex, of course.
There's no show without it. Mr Mayor, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. And wasn't it a beaut to hear the young people make presentations at that age? In fact,
Hey Alex, I'm supposed to say this stuff at the end, all right?
Okay, I want to, as last year, congratulate you on a very, very good budget, strategic, progressive and very responsive. And a special thanks, and I suppose I thank the ratepayers, a special thanks for putting aside $1 million to drought for the farmers and also the rates concessions, even though we think and hope that the drought is over, the farmers will go through a lot of pain yet to get established and back on their feet, which highlights the point that I make in my submission. I believe there is a real need to prepare what I call an agriculture water strategy, a long-term water strategy for this area, and so that we can secure more water. More water will mean more wealth for this area. And just a final point, Mayor, I noticed on your last page in your introduction, you talk about increasing expenditure for vegetation management on roadsides. I've had a little bit of a growl about roadside weeds. Now, I couldn't find the line item in the budget, so can somebody just enlighten me where that is? Perhaps just send me an email.
We can respond to that.
And thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks very much. And before I look to a councillor to move this motion, can I just take the opportunity this week, the week following Volunteers Week, it's appropriate, I think, to actually acknowledge our community who've been so engaged in this process, like they are in supporting the whole of community across a wide range of activities, and it really is encouraging to see the level of interest shown in our budget process, the level of engagement and submission as a result of that. So I think, whilst Alex has said some kind things about the way we put this together, I think it's appropriate for us to say some kind things and acknowledge the extent to which our community is engaged and continues to contribute to the well-being of each other. So to our community, congratulations on your effort in responding to our budget and providing the submissions you have. Now, councillors, I'm looking for someone to move. Completely unrehearsed. Councillor McCubbin.
Thank you. I'd like to move the council receive and consider submissions relating to the 2019-20 draft budget.
I had a seconder from Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? The motion's not opposed. The motion is carried. And I think we are done.